Welcome to this brand new episode of Cast It to the King. I am your host, Joshua Mickle, and we are recording this on what is a memorable day for obvious reasons. Today is Good Friday, and as of this recording, just wanted to get this episode out there really quick because next week is the draft, but also keeping in mind that it's just been a busy schedule for me in terms of trying to get episode turnout. But after this Easter weekend, there's going to be a lot more turnout for episodes and hopefully something interesting along the horizon of what may be in store. A couple of things that popped up the other day. The show today was actually supposed to be like a few days ago, but I haven't had time to do it. But a few things popped up. Two of note that just popped up in the entertainment world is that we had our second trailer of Fantastic Four come out, and it's Marvel. I mean, it's again, Marvel has their IP, they have their first family, and one of the things that they finally revealed that they did not reveal in the first trailer is Silver Surfer, and I forget the name of who this character of Silver Surfer technically is, and for those that want to quickly go out there and say, oh, they're gender swapping Silver Surfer, how dare they? There was a few runs of Silver Surfer in the comics, and it was actually Norrin Radd, who's typically Silver Surfer, where it's the situation is swapped to where Norrin Radd is not Silver Surfer, but his wife is Silver Surfer. So there are a couple iterations where that is actually the case. So this is not a gender swap. It is that situation. And also, for those that may be wondering, oh my goodness, how could they do such a thing? Here's this little tidbit for you. This Fantastic Four is not set in our 616 main MCU line. Kind of like how Deadpool wasn't, technically. Deadpool and Wolverine, when that movie came out. That movie somewhat took place in the 616 for like a brief hot minute, and then it was back to his universe. This Silver Surfer is not the mainline 616. Once we get past Secret Wars, then we can have that discussion. But in terms of this particular movie, there are no other heroes from the way the trailer portrayed it. There are no other heroes in this world. It's just the Fantastic Four, and I mean, it's one of your prototypical superhero movies when they came back in the 2000s, where it's like this movie is its own universe, its own superhero that this superhero and his relay characters live in. No one else associated whatsoever. I dig the trailer. I did the trailer. Nothing blowing off my socks yet. Maybe that's just the marketing being conservative, but anything is better than what we've gotten from the previous three big household Fantastic Four films that we've got in the previous pipeline. And so with that being said, there was another movie that came crossing along the stratosphere, and that was actually last night. Star Wars had their convention in Japan, apparently, and they announced that, yes, Mandalorian Grogu is going to be coming out in theaters May 26th. And then there was another movie where they teased that this is they announced the movie with Ryan Gosling. Then they announced the movie a while ago with Sean Levy. Sean Levy, the director of Free Guy, Real Steel, Deadpool and Wolverine, The Atom Project. He's got a bunch of films that are I still get a kick out of Real Steel watching that with Hugh Jackman. And so you have Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling. Now those two announced separate projects. They are actually technically the same project that's supposedly being worked on. And they announced that film is Star Wars Starfighter, coming out, and wait for the date, May 2027. May 2027. We are not even 2 years away, and they're announcing a date for this movie. And we have seen what has happened in the long lines of what this actually means in the fandom of Star Wars. A film gets announced, like after The Rise of Skywalker in 2019. A film gets announced. Someone gets a trilogy. Someone's writing a trilogy. We're supposed to get this spin-off movie. We're supposed to get that. Delayed. Creative differences. Delayed. None of it has come to pass. Not one film has been made, and the one film that's supposedly coming out in May 2026 is a follow-up to a television show. There's not a grand Star Wars movie that has been released in theaters properly since The Rise of Skywalker, and we are going on 6 years now of that being the case. We're supposed to get an Old Republic film from the Game of Thrones fellows. I forget their names. We're supposed to get a trilogy from them. We're supposed to get a Star Wars origin movie with James Mangold. We're supposed to get a Rey movie that takes place after The Rise of Skywalker, but that's gone through many writers. And like all the films that you have probably heard of, you can probably search one online with a random name, and it's probably been announced as like, oh, yeah, we're doing this Star Wars movie. Yeah, we're doing this movie. We're doing that movie. Every single one. Patty Jenkins was supposed to do a Rogue Squadron movie where she announced the film on an aircraft carrier talking about how her father was in the military, in the Navy, and was going to take cues from Top Gun for Rogue Squadron. That was announced in 2020. It has not seen the light of day. Kevin Feige of Marvel was supposed to do a Star Wars movie. Not one word since then. That was announced like in 2021 or 22. And the word is supposedly that, yes, Simon Kinberg, who was also announced to be writing a trilogy, and the James Mangold Star Wars origin movie, and something else, is still supposedly in development. Yeah, we call that development hell in Hollywood. And I had this conversation with someone on X. There's a special place for development hell. There's development hell for films that always get announced but never leave the development process. Then there's the chamber where Kathleen Kennedy is still the head of Lucasfilm, still has her array of band of misfits that she just throws in there of creative differences. Like, we're going to announce you. No, go in the chamber because of creative differences. Your film will never see a light of day. Now the next person. Scheduling conflicts. They're not going to be able to make the movie that we announced that they said they had time to make the movie for. Scheduling conflicts right there. Creative differences here and there. I do not believe you. Star Wars, Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy. You announced a new movie. You can do all the cool video chyrons, logos like Marvel and DC can do, and other big franchises. You can do all that you want. I do not believe you that a film is being made. I do not believe you until I am seated at the movie theater with popcorn in my lap, and then the opening credits roll and I see an actual moving frame of the movie, of the characters that you supposedly say there's a movie about, then I will believe it. Until then, we live in a world where two instances, one of them involving Star Wars, where things can change on a dime. Example number one just happened recently. Warner Brothers was filming, they were deep in production with a Batgirl movie with Michael Keaton returning as a Batman. That film has been scrapped and written off as a tax and has been dubbed as a tax write-off for Warner Brothers because they deemed that film to be unreleasable, in their words, and that it was that bad of a film. Now, for Star Wars, you remember the movie Solo? Came out in 2018, right? A Han Solo movie. That movie was originally supposed to be Phil Lord and Chris Miller's movie. Who are those guys? Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, the Jump Street franchise. Now, famously, with the Spider-Verse franchise. And look what is going on with the Spider-Verse franchise. It's fantastic. 70% through shooting Solo, Kathleen Kennedy walks in there and says, Scrap everything. We're going to start this movie all over again. And the reason Solo lost money is, one, first of all, no one was asking for a Han Solo movie. Two, and most importantly, they had to remake this film again. It had to make two movies' budgets doubled in order to break even. So a typical sci-fi film could be about anywhere between $150 to $200 million. Add another $150-200 million on top of that. The film would have to break even at like a $800 or $900 million after you account for marketing and you account for the share that the theaters have. You had to make $800 to $900 million to break even. And Star Wars and Lucasfilm and Disney took a bloodbath. They took a bath financially with all that money that was lost, hundreds of millions of dollars. What has Lucasfilm done since then? Oh, yeah, after Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, they announced Indiana Jones' Dial of Destiny. To this day, I still have not seen the movie. I have people that tell me, and I believe them, that there's such an ending that is so egregiously bad, it makes no logical sense whatsoever for Indiana Jones franchise. That film was scheduled to be Kathleen Kennedy's swan song, right off into the sunset, into retirement for her illustrious producing career in Hollywood. What happened? That film was ballooned of a budget of like well over $250 million for an Indiana Jones movie? Are you kidding me? That much movie for an Indiana Jones movie, you had to spend X amounts of hundreds of millions of dollars, which very little special effects besides a de-aging of Harrison Ford for a few scenes maybe. But all in all, it's not a Star Wars or Marvel or big sci-fi movie. Not even Top Gun. Maverick had a smaller budget than Han Solo with all the jets and all the special effects that they did there and practical stuff. They had a smaller... Top Gun Maverick has smaller budget than Indiana Jones 5. Wrap your heads around that. That movie also took a bloodbath and did not make a penny for Disney, and they lost hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office because of it. So this is now Kathleen Kennedy. She is, besides Andor, which is a critically acclaimed TV series that's going on, that's still going forward with season 2. It's all bleak for Lucasfilm and Star Wars. And the one thing she got right on is that show and the Mandalorian movie coming out next year now. Supposedly. We will see what happens because, again, if this is any other producer, the two names that I cannot understand for the life of me still get employment. It's Kathleen Kennedy, headed up Lucasfilm at Star Wars, and Avi Arad headed up the spinoff films for Sony for their live-action spinoff universes with the Morbiuses, the Madam Webs, and Cravens and whatnot, and the Venoms. He's still getting, like, those two are still getting employment, and how they still have employment, they must have photos somewhere of Bob Iger and Tom Rothman over at Sony, Bob Iger of Disney. Those two must have photos of their bosses somewhere of blackmail, or some sort of blackmail to keep their jobs. Because we actually did an episode a while ago that it was said that Kathleen Kennedy is set to be on her way out by the end of this year. We will see if that's true. We will see if that's true or not, because until she is gone, I am not going to believe anything that comes out of Lucasfilm and Star Wars' mouth. They have lied repeatedly over and over and over and over again. It's becoming numb. I love Star Wars. I love this franchise. It was wasted potential with Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker with a bad script and a script that was scrutinized, especially with The Last Jedi, that had left open the doors to the utter waste pits that are some of the fandom in Star Wars that do not represent the majority, but they have a loud voice online. It has opened up to critique from those people. And then you have The Rise of Skywalker, which, again, is a reaction to The Last Jedi of how badly it was received from the majority of fans, not counting even from the fan base that are some of the bottom pitless people online that spew things to particular actors or actresses that have nothing to do with the movie whatsoever. If you have a problem with the movie, but and it's because of script, directing, writing, all that stuff, or how an actor has portrayed on the screen, that's a valid reason to be upset with someone of a film or franchise that you love. If you're attacking someone because of their race or whatever it may be, that's a whole nother rabbit's hole that you're going to go down under when you're trying to talk with someone. But I do not ascribe to that. I just want a good... This is the thing with every single film in Hollywood, especially in today's era. Keep your politics at the door. Keep your politics, your viewpoints at the door. Go to the movie and just watch the movie as it is. Leave everything at the door and watch the movie as it is. And so, with that being said, Star Wars, until Kathleen Kennedy, the head of Lucasfilm, is gone, I do not believe anything that I hear or see on their X spheres or their Facebooks or whatever social media, their websites of like, here's a new movie coming out. I don't believe you. Until I see results, I do not believe you. I have, this is well past the point of boy who cries wolf at this point, because that took 2 tries, and then the audience was like, someone's saying a third time crying wolf. We don't believe you. And it actually happened. We still don't believe you. This is going on well over 10 times, or I can at least count 10 times, 10 Star Wars, over 10 movies that have been announced and have not seen a light of day. Rian Johnson, they were so impressed with The Last Jedi, they announced right before that movie came out, 2017, that he was going to get a new trilogy of Star Wars movies. And it's becoming numb at this point. And I know this was supposed to be a quick point for this one, but I love Star Wars, and I just went through my own rabbit hole of getting on a rampant rant about that. Anyway, now we're going to get into these few topics right here, and that is this. I'm actually going to go a little bit out of order. I'm going to stay on the entertainment side for one last bit here, and that is this. Dune Part 1 and 2 are some of the best sci-fi films ever out there. Some of the best sci-fi movies ever out there. Dune Part 1, I don't like cliffhangers, but I'm glad we got Part 2, and we didn't have to wait too long for Part 2. Now, on the heels of Part 2, and what concluded that 2-part story, comes Dune Part 3, Dune Messiah, based off the Dune Messiah book. Now, a lot of people have read the Dune books. There are a good portion that have not read the Dune book after the first one. And from what I gather is that it is controversial in terms of what the characters do that go against what apparently happened in the first book. These first two movies, for instance. So, with that being said, though, those same people also say that these 2 Dune movies deviated in some parts away from the books for the benefit of the movie. To which I say, okay, take cues from the books, don't deviate too much from it, but still have it to the point where it's like, yes, this flows perfectly for what the director and the writers are trying to tell us on screen. We have gotten the announcement that Robert Pattinson from Twilight, he's just coming off of Batman, a couple other Oscar-worthy films. He has been cast as the villain, the antagonist for Dune Part 3, potentially called Dune Messiah. And so, this particular topic, I want to dive into the ramifications of what this does for not just Dune, but other properties as a whole. First, for Dune, for Denis Villeneuve, if that's I may be butchering the name, the director of these films. Great get for such a great actor, who he is not the Twilight person that some may view him as and can't stand. The dude's a really good actor when you put him on screen and you give him a really good script. that is and even with some of the iffy scripts for some of the films he's done, it's like he still brings it. Like I think he did the film Lighthouse with William Dafoe, a black and white movie, which was really good. Like that really showed the acting chops of Robert Pattinson. If you want to find a film of his caliber, of what he can bring to acting, and there's a fly here. And so, great get for Dune 3. It's going to really be interesting to see Timothée Chalamet opposite of Robert Pattinson on screen, and it's going to be really interesting to see. The other implication is this. I mentioned earlier, he's currently in the Batman franchise that's offshooted from the new DC universe that James Gunn is rebooting with Superman. This is a totally separate continuity with Batman that Matt Reeves introduced to us in 2022. We are coming off of the Penguin show that just came out. Robert Pattinson now gets cast for Dune 3. We are still waiting for Batman 2, like the Batman Part 2 from Matt Reeves. The film came out in 2022. We were told in 2023 sometime, or late 22, that Matt Reeves was working on the script and he's well ahead of the process. Okay, cool. 2020, like late 22 or 23, you announced that he's working on a script. James Gunn says, we're launching our DC universe with Superman in July 2025. And also in October that year, you're getting the sequel to the Batman. Delayed. Matt Reeves is still working on a script. October 2026. Delayed again. He's still working on the script. October 2027. We'll see how long that holds up. That's the current date right now for the Batman Part 2. There was something that came out a while ago. I think it's from Grace Randolph on the online stratospheres of influencers that claim that Matt Reeves is going through something a la Chat with Boseman light, per se, was their wording. I don't know what that means. I take it that means that he's going through something health related issue. If that's the case, okay, we understand why the film's delayed. But the pushback to that is that we have gotten so many quotes or updates about the sequel to the Batman that's become numb, like the Star Wars announcements. Because all the delays and reasonings for the delays had none of them included anything of the sort of Matt Reeves, the director and the writer of this universe of Gotham, was dealing with the health issue. It was always, I gotta iron out my story. I just gotta iron out the details. I just have to make it right. It needs to be just right. There is a thing to be said, and there is a thing to be noted in Hollywood, like how much time is too much time. There's the famous story where Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard went to a hotel room, and in 3 days, they wrote the entire script to Cabin in the Woods. 3 days. A movie script was made. Matt Reeves, again, if health is not an issue here, again, just to abbreviate, if health is an issue, then like we understand, like we all go through it. Like I'm just coming off of chemotherapy, wrapping that up last year, going through it for 6 months, and it took a toll on me. And even pertaining to this podcast, I was still able to put something out, but it wasn't as much as I would have liked to, because sometimes I was in the hospital, sometimes I was here dealing with pain. We all go through it. Like if you're going through a health problem, we get it. But if you're not going through some health problem, it's taking you, the director and writer of this movie, it's taking you well over 3 years to write a script for a 2.5 hour movie? James Gunn wrote his Superman movie in what was supposedly 6 months. And it's taking you 3 years? I understand if the whole mindset was that you were coming into the Batman as a one-off, and that was just going to be that. It was just going to be the Batman, just like the Joker movie, a one-off, and be done with it. But Warner Bros. Saw Joker and said, oh, look, it made $1 billion. Quickly, bring it back in, and just let them write together. Joker 2 was horrible. It was atrociously bad. And that film was not rushed. That film came out last year, and the original film came out in 2018. It's been well over 5 years for that movie. 19, 20, 21, 22. Like 6 years, it feels like. Because that film came out well before COVID happened. Well before COVID happened, the Joker came out. And so for Robert Pattinson, he was casted to be like this young, like in his beginning days of Batman. The Batman movie was heavily influenced from Batman Year One, the comic lines. And by the time they get around to making the Batman Part 2, he's going to be the same age as Ben Affleck was when he was in Batman vs. Superman, portraying the Dark Knight Returns old seasoned Batman. Are we going to CGI, like, de-age Robert Pattinson? Or is the first movie going to be Year One, and then Year Two is going to be Dark Knight Returns? It's like, what happened in this middle space here? What happened? Beginning, and the second movie's the end. What happened in the middle? Are we just going to rely on the Penguin show to fill in the gaps of, like, here's what happened in between? And then by the time we get a sequel, it's Batman Dark Knight Returns style. Man, my friend Jacob Tinkersley, if you're watching this, we had this talk the other day. I feel for you. I feel sorry for you. You claim that The Batman is the best Batman movie ever made. You can't wait for the sequel. But I feel sorry whenever I hear news about another Batman delay, another thing of bad news for the Batman, and I share it with you, and you're just left distraught of like, it's like, and you said to me the other day that you have no hope for this movie ever being made. I'm getting to that point with you where I don't like, it's getting to a point where this film's not going to get made. The question now is going to be, like, they announced the DCU Batman solo movie, The Brave and the Bold. And it's going to have Damian Wayne, Batman's son, as Robin. The third Robin, mind you, because we are getting a DC movie with Nightwing and Jason Todd, Red Hood, with those two. The question now I'm going to be asking is that movie going to come out first before we get the Batman Part 2? That's going to be so crazy and insane if we get that Batman Part 2 after we get Batman the Brave and the Bold. It's going to be so hilarious if like the Batman Brave and the Bold comes out. It's like, hey, where's the talk on the Batman Part 2? Oh, Brave and the Bold Part 2? No, Matt Reeves Part 2. Oh, yeah, that movie. That came out like eons ago. I don't know. I'm still writing down the script. It's almost perfect. I promise you, it's almost perfect. It just needs to be, mwah. It needs to be chef's kiss. It needs to be, mwah, perfecto. We'll see. We will see with that. Anyways, with that down, let us dive into the next topic, and that is this. For any of you that are Vols fans out there, you know this was going to come up. I don't talk college on here that often about particular teams, but my family has Tennessee Vols roots. Excuse me. I am not a diehard fan, and we will see what happens with them this upcoming year because Nico Iamaleava, if I'm saying that last name correctly, Nico, got a little too greedy. He got his hand in the cookie jar. And recently, I believe UCLA picked him up. And I'll talk through the various numbers with Nico while I try to find what happened with his contract. Okay, I have this pulled up right here, but I'm going to pull this aside. I want to see if I can try to pull this into the window up here. There we go. And so, Nico got a little too greedy. The man got a little too greedy. He was set to be paid $2.7 million. And he said to the Vols, either through his dad or whoever, I want $4 million. I want $4 million. And that would have been more than what Carson Beck, former quarterback of Georgia, that would have been more than what Carson Beck got to be signed via NIL money to transfer to Miami. Because Cam Ward is leaving for the NFL draft and soon to be Tennessee Titan quarterback. Now, there's all these teams that were being fielded out there, and it's been reported that Nico's representatives were shopping him around, and it got to the point where his dad was shopping him to particular teams like Oregon, and I'm just going to use this one team for this instance because Oregon's head coach, after it was relayed to him from his father and the man that is supposedly Nico's agent, Oregon's head coach called up Josh Heupel, the Vols head coach, and said, hey, do you know about this? Your quarterback just came to me about transferring. Do you know about this? And that, combined with that, and then also Nico does not show up for spring practice, and the Vols say, kick rocks. We're not going to pay you. We don't want this in our locker room. We don't want this at all. And so there are teams out there, USC, UCLA, North Carolina, Texas Tech, Tulane, another North Carolina team. Could Florida State maybe flirt with it? Who could be in the transfer portal wanting Nico? And just to bring this into a broad picture here, the equivalent of $4 million that Nico was asking for is the equivalent of him thinking that he is one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the country. He's not. He's not even top 10 quarterback in the SEC. In his SEC games in conference play, he had 9 touchdowns total. 9 throwing touchdowns. And then he was underwhelming in the Arkansas game, which the last second of that game was such a brain fart that Nico did. And then he was underwhelming versus Ohio State in the playoff game. I think that game should have been Tennessee, but that's a whole other subject because of seeding and how Ohio State ended their season. They didn't deserve to have another home game. They deserved to go on the road for punishment for losing to Michigan. Unranked Michigan at the time. And so, Nico got a little too greedy. He wants $4 million. He enters the transfer portal. And I'm going to bring up the numbers here shortly here. He has now signed with UCLA. And as I bring this up here on the screen, if you can see it, I want to see if you can see it. You probably don't. You do not. Stand by. You should see it right about now. The numbers for Nico, as I try to zoom this in for you, projected to make only $900,000 on NIL after signing with UCLA because of taxes. The following is this. Federal income tax in California, federal income tax is just about $618,000. California state income tax, $210,000. The federal payroll taxes, FICA, pretty much $51,000. The California SDI tax. What the heck is an SDI tax? In my line of work, SDI is a cord we use that we connect cameras to our switchboard. What the heck is a California SDI tax for just about $17,000, like $1,700, and in total taxes, that's $880,000. So, if you want to round that up, Nico is definitely getting paid less than what he was asking for, and definitely less than what he was supposed to make on NIL had he kept his mouth shut, had he played in the state of Tennessee for the Tennessee Volunteers. And so I should be back on the screen right there. There we go. Yeah. Nico got greedy. His family got greedy. His father got greedy. They went up into Tennessee and the boosters, which pays for this money. That's where the money comes from now that pays college players, is from the boosters. It's not from the colleges themselves. It's from the boosters. That's how colleges are funded, and that's how colleges get new stadiums. It's coming from the boosters and scholarships. And for Nico to ask for $4 million, that's the mindset of him thinking he was anywhere close to Carson Beck with the accomplishments in college, or Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders deserves $4 million if he was playing another year at Colorado. That's the price point. You pay $4 million for a really good to elite quarterback. You give that money to Cam Ward. I don't know his NIL money was in Miami, but if he were to be back for another year at Miami, it would be $4 million. Like, that's the cap. Like, that's the situation. But ultimately, in this situation, is that Nico stabbed the team in the back that batted for him to begin all of this. Coming out of high school, it was Arch Manning, folks trying to recruit him like crazy to get him to play for their colleges, and then it was Nico, number 2, coming out of high school. Nico was the first ever high school player to get paid NIL money. Well over $4 million for 4 years, essentially, at Tennessee. He was a redshirt in getting paid NIL money. And the NCAA said to the Volunteers and the University of Tennessee, you can't do that. And Tennessee said, screw you, we're going to take you to court. And Tennessee won in court. And now we have this vacuum in the NCAA landscape in college sports where the NCAA just basically said after the Tennessee ruling, per the Tennessee Attorney General, is that the NCAA said, we are not going to enforce any NIL rules. Do what you will with your own particular situations. And so Tennessee vouched for Nico. They won with Nico in the courts. And Nico had a decent year, not a great year last year for his first full year starting, but he thinks he's all that, and he wants to ask for more money out of Tennessee. I'd be super peed off if I was the Vols. If I'm a Vols fan, like pretty much every single Vols fan is now against Nico because that's how ridiculous this is. Now, here's the thing. And here's the thing this could all boomerang back to Josh Heupel and the Volunteers, is that if Nico at UCLA, which has a pro-style offense, and I think Eric Bieniemy, who used to be the offense coordinator for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, I believe he is there as their offensive coordinator. If Nico lights it up and he is a first-round quarterback coming out of this next draft, that is going to put a huge dent on Josh Heupel's reputation as an offensive coach, trying to get players to come to the university that have NFL aspirations. That is going to leave a big dent in the University of Tennessee if he does well at UCLA. We will see what happens. UCLA is in the Big Ten. You have to go contend against USC, Oregon, California, and then the normal Big Ten crew, Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State again. Nico, are you ready for it again? Or are you going to crumble under the spotlight? Or are you going to prove people wrong? It's going to be an interesting situation coming out for this next season, and I cannot wait for it whatsoever. All right, with that down, we got to talk about this right here. And I'll actually close out the show with a different topic, but I'm going to go into this one right here. The NFL draft is less than 1 week away, baby. 1 week away. And we have Cam Ward, Shedeur, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter. A lot of stuff has happened in the last week or so. One thing that's interesting with Shedeur, set to be number 1 overall pick. I was vouching for that. It looks like it's going to be Cam Ward. By the way, he put a he streams Fortnite apparently. Cam Ward does, and he had on a Titan skin, wearing the number 1 on the Titan skin. And there have been a lot of fans that said he can't wear number 1 like he did in college. That's War Moon's retired number. The game, him putting that on his character skin in the Fortnite game does not prove anything whatsoever. Do not use that as a rock solid source for things. But I am dubiously convinced that Cam Ward has already had a conversation with Oilers / Titans quarterback legend Warren Moon about wearing number 1 and having his blessing for Ward to wear number 1 and Titan blue. Number 1 is retired. That number is retired per Warren Moon. He's in the Hall of Fame. He holds a lot of our franchise records for passing touchdowns and passing yards during the Oilers days, during the heyday of Houston Oilers. Number 9's retired. 27's retired. I believe 74 is retired for Bruce Matthews. But number 1 is the main number. And I'm dubiously convinced, with nothing to back this up with, that Cam Ward and Warren Moon have already had a one-on-one conversation and then relayed it to the Titans organization brass that Cam Ward's going to wear number 1. And if he wears number 1, I will take off of work to see that first home game in Nashville. I want to see him dub the stitches, the number 1 stitching on that jersey. That's, oh man, I'm getting like jittery goosebumps just thinking about it. Him wearing number 1 in Titan blue would be so dope, so fire, like whatever, so 100, whatever emoji you want to use, like all of that right there. Zombieland reference right there. There you go. Another headlines of Shedeur slipping in the draft. He may get past 3 with the Giants. It may be Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, and Abdul Carter 1, 2, and 3. And if that's the case, we got to figure out where Shedeur Sanders is going to go. How far is he going to fall in the draft? There have been some mocks that have him now going to 9 because it's just been reported and come out that Derek Carr is dealing with a shoulder injury and he could be missing the entire season of 2025. That came out just a week or so ago, just recently. And so now the Saints, pretty much a lot of people have the Saints penciled in to select Shedeur Sanders now at 9. There are some that still say, oh, they're not going to draft Shedeur. Who's going to draft Shedeur then after the Saints? Because after that, it's a free fall until you get to 21 with Pittsburgh Steelers, which Aaron Rodgers had some words to say on Pat McAfee the other day, and it looks like the Steelers are not going to be having Aaron Rodgers for the time being and the distant future. If Shedeur Sanders ends up wearing Steelers colors, Steelers jersey, all the hype, all of the vouching that I made for him, all the love that I have for him, poof, gone. The man is officially dead to me if he is a Yinzer Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. I will never hear the end of it from my mom's side of the family. That is a whole load of Pittsburgh Steelers fans. I'm like, oh, look, we got Shedeur Sanders, and look how good he is. That's the last team I need him to be on, is the Yinzer fan base in the Pittsburgh Steelers franchise. That's the last franchise I want him going to. He can go to Cleveland. He can go to New York. He can go to the Saints. He can go to Las Vegas. He can go to the Jets. He can go to the Rams. Go somewhere else. Go to Dallas. I will be okay if he somehow got to Dallas and Jerry Jones pulls off a boneheaded move like that. If trade back in the first round and get Shedeur. I don't care if he goes to Dallas and then Deion's the head coach for the next season after one stint with Brian Schottenheimer. I don't care. Do not go to Pittsburgh. You are dead to me if you go to Pittsburgh. I cannot stand that fan base. I cannot stand the Steelers. The Steelers fan base is like cockroaches. That is the epitome of Steeler fans. They are cockroaches. They are everywhere you look. There's a Steeler fan everywhere you look. There's a Steeler fan in your workplace. There's a Steeler fan when you walk to the store. There's a Steeler fan when you're driving on the street, in interstate or highway. There's a Steeler fan at a Grizzlies game, for crying out loud. Grizzlies and Wolves, the last game I went to, had someone was wearing a Steeler jersey. Why are you wearing a Steeler jersey at an NBA game, let alone a team that's not Pittsburgh related? Why? Makes no sense whatsoever. Abdul Carter. There was one mock draft that had Abdul Carter because of AI fallen all the way to in the teens in the Atlanta Falcons. And if that were to happen, all the stuff of, his injuries are no concern. He'll be okay. He don't need surgery. All of that cold water gets poured onto that hot fire of hot water gets cold, whatever the analogy is, some cold water is going to be poured onto those folks that said, he's not concerned. His injuries are not a concern. We just brush him off. No, he's okay. Everyone deals with a stress fracture in their foot. We all go through it once in a while. No. And the other storyline about the NFL draft is that the Titans have been rumored now, because they're set on Cam Ward, that they're going to get a weapon for him. Now, M'Baka and Burden are the two wide receivers that a lot of fans have pegged for the Titans to get in the second round. But there's a report from, I believe, Matt Miller of ESPN that came out that said the Titans are looking to, if those two guys are available at the tail ends of round one, low 20s in one of those 30s at the end of the first round, Titans are going to trade up and get them. And to that, I say, go get them. If one of those two are there, go get them. You get an extra year with that fifth-year option, and you send a statement that Cam Ward and this young wide receiver we're going to draft is going to be haymakers for us for the next 10 years at least with our franchise. And let's go off and running. Let's go. I will be streaming this draft live like I did last year. We will see how long I last. Last year, I lasted all of it. We will see how long I last, especially with the Titans picking first overall. If there's anything I have to talk about with the upcoming picks in the draft, we will see. But because the Titans are now rumored to be trading back, I may be forced to do the whole entire thing just to see if they do trade back up in it. And so far, this is the only draft going into it that no one has traded away their first round pick. Not since, I think they said the 80s or the 60s, that all the NFL teams have had their current first round pick and not traded away going into it. So far, we are in that realm, and that's about to be, and that streak of not trading away their first round pick is about to be broken. All right. With that down, we're going to get into the main topic here of the show, and that is this right here. Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. As of this recording, it's the Mavericks and the Grizzlies play tonight. I actually don't think the Grizzlies are going to win. They're going to be bounced out of the play-in tournament, and they're not going to make the playoffs, in my opinion. I just don't see them beating Dallas and Anthony Davis being a wrecking ball that he is against the Grizzlies. And then also, Jaren Jackson Jr. getting in foul trouble with him a lot in the past. I don't see us beating the Mavericks tonight as of this recording. But this particular topic has nothing to do with the Memphis Grizzlies season as a whole or the or the play-in game as a whole. This topic has to deal with Ja Morant and what has happened with his on-court celebrations with the gun gestures, as you see behind me. And then recently he debuted a hand toss grenade versus the Charlotte Hornets, and then he debuted in front of the home crowd that I went to with my dad, who was in town, with the Minnesota Timberwolves. By the way, that Minnesota Timberwolves game, biggest ref ball I've ever seen in person of all the Memphis games I've ever been to. Biggest ref ball, crimes committed by the referees across the board. Fouls they call on us, they don't call on the Wolves. Ticky-tacky fouls they call on us, but they don't call on them. It was that bad. But to the topic on hand. With Ja Morant, he got fined $75,000 by the NBA, and I will try to bring it up here as I keep talking about it. What the statement from the NBA was with the actual fine. And so right here, per the fine from NBA Communications. So he had just recently done the celebration he had done like finger guns with the against the Golden State Warriors, and then he was doing the handguns towards Buddy Hield of the Warriors. But if you zoom out of said frame, you see that Buddy Hield was showing him guns to him first. But then after the game, we find out that the NBA gave Ja Morant and Buddy Hield a warning. He's like, don't you dare do this again. Don't you do this again. We'll just give you a warning. And so per the statement here, it reads as follows. On April 4th, Memphis Grizzlies guard Ja Morant was fined $75,000 for twice making an inappropriate gun gesture on the playing court. It was announced today by the vice president of head basketball operations. Ja Morant was previously warned by the league office that this gesture could be interpreted in a negative light. Interpreted in a negative light. Now, I want to bring this up right here next for you. What does all that resemble to you? Negative light? Inappropriate gun gesture? Yet we see in the NBA, all these guys do it. They don't get punished. It's a common celebration on the court. And yet they want to go after Ja Morant because he does it. Now, for those that want to say, oh, he has a history with guns. Look what happened on Instagram like twice in the middle of the season and then after the season was over in that 2023 year. Remind me again what year it is right now. Remind me again, what year are we in? We are in 2025. The dude has not made one whiff of such a video like that since then. Let it go. Move on. Move on, for crying out loud. Let it go and freaking move on. The fact that Ja Morant does it and yet you don't punish or go after the other guys that have done it, this, to me, is some of the biggest hypocrisy I have ever seen out of the NBA. And Stephen A. Smith said it best. He said it best when, as I pull this up right here, Stephen A. Smith said it best. Right here. NBA and the rest of us, totally unnecessary. Let Ja Morant play in peace. Let's not look for things. The playoffs are about to begin. Let's enjoy games. Morant did not do anything flagrant. Folks are reaching. And yes, folks are reaching. This is the biggest reach job I have ever seen in the NBA. And now with the whole, oh, he's not doing guns anymore. He's doing grenades. Oh my goodness gracious, he's doing grenades. He's wanting violence in the NBA. If the dude came out with a blow dart after a 3, a bow and arrow after the 3, you'd be inside. You'd be the level of hypocrisy on this is hair pulling. It is mind boggling of the reactions after this grenade gesture from the inside the NBA folks that, I mean, not Shaq because he thinks it's funny. Pretty much the majority of the online stratosphere from fans think it's funny. And by the way, small tip here, Ja Morant finished top 10 in jersey sales. So if he wasn't popular or folks didn't like him for his influence per se, his jerseys wouldn't be top 10. That's a fact right there. He was ranked, I think, 7th or 8th on the jersey sales chart per the NBA for their online sales. But you have folks like Kenny Smith and Charles Barkley on Inside the NBA saying, oh, you know who doesn't have to deal with this anymore? Taylor Jenkins, the former head coach of the Grizzlies. He doesn't have to deal with this crap anymore, all this distraction. Ja Morant was not distraction. Are you kidding me? Oh, my Lord. Ja Morant doing a celebration that everyone else can do, but he can't do. An incident that happened well over 2-3 years ago, and you still want to hold it over his head. When is a man forgiven for his past stuff and move on? When can you forgive a man and let it go? He has not done squat off the court over all this. Folks are reaching. It is the uttermost nonsense I have ever seen on the court. And there are other folks out there saying, oh, does Ja Morant even want to play in the NBA anymore? He's throwing his career away. How? How is he throwing his career away? Literally, you can look this up. Literally, the next game later, after he gets fined, LeBron, Luka, Draymond Green, and a whole bunch of Buddy Hield are doing gun gestures. Whispers from the NBA. Whispers from everybody. Whispers from them. Not one of them about any of this whatsoever. And before you say, oh, that's not true, like, how could that be true? I have photos for you just to show you. I have photos just for you, my friend. And I'll just show you the two right here. That's Draymond Green. I mean, there's another shot of Draymond Green later. There's a shot of Austin Reeves on the Lakers Instagram, and then you have this fellow from the Golden State Warriors doing the gun gestures. Oh, you don't see it? Let me go ahead, and if you're having trouble, let me zoom in for you. What's that right there? Looks like LeBron's loading up something. And then you have this fellow here on the Warriors doing the gun gesture too. That being said, yeah, I digress. With that right there. Someone that I know wrote a encouraging message saying John, pretty much, you don't need to do this. Like, the city roots for you and all that stuff. It was a good post. I get where he was coming from, but this particular situation with Ja Morant is nothing new. He has done this all year long. And there's a video that someone shared on X that I will play for you right here, doing such things all year. Anyways, that has been going on all season long, and that is where the hypocrisy and the bullcrap comes in from all the folks that want to be all high and mighty on their high on their morality chairs of what a bad influence. Think of the people he's influenced. Think of the children. Think of the children. We can't have such an influence. Think of the children. Ja Morant's such a bad... He can't be influenced. Let me say this to you right now. Most of the children watching NBA games, not all of them, a good chunk of them, how many of them play Battlefield? How many of them play Call of Duty? And how many of them are spewing cuss words and insults online and shooting guns for rated M games? How many of them are doing that? Quite a lot. I know because I've played a few of them. And they're really irritating when they're better than you and they're younger than you. As what I used to be a gamer back in the day, playing online with my wife. She was actually better than me. Funny enough, that's a whole nother story. How she got she was top of leaderboards back in the day. Now she's retired. She was retired her gaming controller. But the whole argument of like Ja Morant's such a bad influence on the children. No, he's not. No, he is not. Once again, the whole Instagram thing. You can look up on this channel. Me and my dad condemned what he did at the strip club on Instagram. And then later on when he did the SUV ride with his buddy that he is disassociated himself with, but yet these NBA talk heads want to say, oh, he's still hanging out with his friend. What proof? What proof? You don't have proof because he's unfollowed them. He hasn't posted anything unless he's doing something. Unless they're like still hanging out across things, but they're not showing it in the public eye. That's the only reason that you could say with no proof that he has not disassociated himself with those types of people. And so, with all this whole thing of like Ja Morant has bad character, Ja Morant this, Ja Morant that, with the whole gun celebrations, the grenade celebrations. I said this the other day, like in my head, like Cam Ward, Miami quarterback about to be drafted to the Tennessee Titans, was playing Fortnite and streaming it. God forbid if Ja Morant was on a live stream doing a shooting game on Battlefield or Call of Duty. God forbid that happens, because I'm convinced if that were to happen, the NBA would probably ban him. And yet, here's the most important thing that really irks me about this whole thing. Ja Morant gets crucified on the court, but yet Draymond Green is still playing in the NBA when that dirty player, that no good you-know-what, is still playing in the league for on-court stuff that he has done that is so egregious that doesn't belong to the NBA at all. At all. The dude has kicked nuts. He has punched people. He has choked people on the court. And he has, like, the NBA and suspended him indefinitely. I remember this. I believe it was my third or fourth treatment. It was my third or fourth treatment round of chemotherapy. It was my third or fourth round. I get this NBA ding of, like, it was like a week or so ago that, like, a few weeks before that, it was Draymond Green, per the choking that he did on the Timberwolves player, that he was suspended indefinitely. And I'm like, okay, the NBA is laying their foot down. They are laying down the law and saying that has no area of business whatsoever associated with us. Going into my treatment, I see on my phone, like I enter the hospital, I hear the ding on my phone that Draymond Green was threatening retiring from the NBA. I get out of my round, like 2 hours later, Adam Silver, commissioner of the NBA, says Draymond Green's reinstated and he can play in the NBA. Small balls Adam Silver thinks he's all that with Ja Morant, but he does not have the balls to ban Draymond Green from the NBA. That's the man that you should be punishing. That's the man you should be banning. All the yapping he's doing with the refs, not to mention what he does to the Grizzlies fans a few series ago, throwing up the middle fingers. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? That is the man that should be punished. That is the man that should be banned from the NBA, not Ja Morant, who has done a sin in his life that he has probably asked for forgiveness multiple times, left it behind him, has not done anything squat off the court. He has been a good model citizen for the city and for the NBA, and yet he does on-court celebration that you don't deem necessary for him to do, but you let everyone else do. It makes zero sense whatsoever. Zero. And it has no place for hypocrisy. And I'm convinced at this point that the NBA, with my tinfoil hat on now, I'm convinced that they are trying to drive a wedge between the Grizzly fans and Ja Morant and the ownership and management to get Ja Morant out of the Memphis market into a bigger market. Because the moment, if that were to happen, if Ja Morant were to go to another market, anything he does, a celebration he does, would be written off of, oh, it's just a celebration. He hasn't done anything off the court since, what was it, 22 or 23? Yeah, he hasn't done anything since. Yeah, can we not forgive people? Can we not forgive people for what they've done? That's going to be the talking point the moment Ja Morant gets out, if he gets out of the Memphis market and into a more friendlier NBA market that they want him in. Because there are still some in the NBA that are still frustrated and upset that there are still some that are still frustrated and upset that the New Orleans Pelicans and Memphis Grizzlies got those top 2 lottery picks back in 2019 instead of the New York Knicks. There are still people still upset with that years and years later. Like, how could those 2 teams with a new lottery rule, with a new lottery system, first year of it, these 2 teams that had no business being in the top 3, let alone the top 2, are getting these generational players? Why? And with that, I lay down the gavel and I say I will wrap it up with that, with just the overall message of, I say I have this picture right here. This is Ja Morant after Kevin Durant made a career milestone and points scored. Grizzlies won the game, but that's just yet another example of Ja Morant and his personality on the court and off the court. The dude is respectful. The dude respects his peers. He loves playing with others in the NBA. There was a report, funny enough, as this shot was happening, it was a few weeks ago, from that shot, from this particular photos, that Kevin Durant declined to be traded to the Grizzlies. Now, that's not to say we could get him in the summer. That's not to say that, but we'll see. But just another example, one of many examples of Ja Morant of respecting his peers. He has no attitude on the court. He has nothing on the court that should deem him worthy to be banned from the league. He does not. And if he were to get suspended or banned from the NBA over a celebration that over half the league does, he and the Memphis Grizzlies should file a grievance and take the NBA to court. They're well within their right to take the NBA to court. If the Vols can take the NCAA to state court, there's nothing stopping the Memphis Grizzlies and Ja Morant from taking the NBA, the National Basketball Association, to court. There should be nothing stopping them. And with that, I'll close out the show there to once again, on this Good Friday recording, count your blessings. Remember what this day means. Jesus paying the ultimate price and dying on the cross for us, and like the many blessings that we have now, that we can have the opportunity to reunite with the one that made us, that created us, that calls us his children. That because of the sinless man that took upon our sins, all of our sins and future sins, to that cross, to then lay down his life, the perfect lamb, on Good Friday, and then what that resulted 3 days later, over 2,000 years ago, coming out of the grave, alive and victorious. That sin was defeated, Satan was defeated, and that the pathway to be with God was there, and there were no strings attached, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. A relationship now with Jesus Christ gets you to heaven. And with that, I apologize for the rant there. I love my topic so much, but not as much as I love my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And Kick It to the King is named such that off of a Bible verse. So just remember that. With that being said, I'm your host, Joshua Mickle. Until next time, you keep kicking it to the king.